In this lesson, we'll cover specific power chart discharge and medication reconciliation functionality for NICU physicians and nurse practitioners. Specifically, we will cover the NICU Discharge IMPage, the discharge medication reconciliation process, how to make follow-up appointments, and the depart and transition of care process. To begin the discharge process, click the Discharge section of the menu. This is the Discharge IMPage. An IMPage is an interactive dashboard that collects data from other areas of the chart into one location. This Discharge IMPage contains the most common areas that need to be addressed for patient discharge. Data is collected into various categories. Some of the categories are view-only, such as results and outstanding orders. Others are interactive, such as diagnosis and follow-up. To begin the discharge process, you may want to review any existing vitals or results or documentation in the patient's chart. If necessary, you can enter diagnosis information directly from the IMPage. To do this, simply type in the diagnosis box and a suggested list will appear. The next section is the follow-up section. Currently, this patient does not have any follow-up appointments. To help expedite the follow-up appointment process, NICU physicians can place a schedule appointment order that will create a task for the unit clerk to call and schedule a follow-up appointment. To place this order, go to the Add Order screen and search for NICU. Select the NICU Only Schedule Appointment Order. Complete all relevant fields, including whom to schedule with, reason for appointment, and the requested date and time. Then sign the order. This will create a task for the unit clerk to complete. Once the unit clerk has completed the task, the specific appointment information will appear in the discharge instructions. They do not appear here in the follow-up section of the IMPage, only in the discharge instructions. If you would like to add additional follow-up details, you can click the plus sign in the follow-up section. To search for a provider, type a last name. If it's a unique last name, it will auto-populate into the selected follow-up field. If there are more than one person with the same name, you may need to click on the binoculars to search and select from an available provider list. You can change the when to follow up details and either type your specific directions or use the predefined comments, or a combination of both. If not already selected, it is critical that you ensure that the business phone number for the provider is selected. This will allow the discharge information to be sent directly to the physician's office. To change the phone number to the business phone, click the drop-down arrow and select the business phone number. Once you have completed your follow-up instructions, click the Sign button. Any follow-up details entered here will appear in both the follow-up section and the discharge instructions. Next, you will need to do a discharge medication reconciliation. To begin, click the plus sign in that section. From this screen, you have three options. You can continue the medication, you can discontinue the medication, or you can write a new prescription. To continue an existing medication, click in the appropriate radio button under the green triangle. To discontinue an existing medication, click the appropriate radio button under the orange square. If you need to write a new prescription, you can click the middle radio button under the pill bottle. This will create a new script. You will likely need to enter some medication details to complete this functionality. Now, to complete the discharge medication reconciliation, click the Reconcile and Sign button on the bottom of the screen. The final step in this process is to place the discharge order. To do this, click the blue triangle in the Discharge Order section. Then select Discharge Order from the menu that appears. You may have to identify an associated diagnosis by placing a check mark next to that diagnosis. Then click Sign to complete the order. Next, to review and update the discharge and the transition of care documentation, locate and click on the Depart button. There are two tabs in this section, Discharge Instructions and Transition of Care. The discharge instructions contain pertinent discharge information for the patient's family, including follow-up appointments placed by unit clerks and any home medication details. The Transition of Care tab is specific to NICU and includes additional patient details for providers. You will need to import additional information from the OBIS system to complete this form. To do so, click on the pencil and paper icon in the NICU Provider Summary section. The first section is general information that can be reviewed and documented as necessary. The next is the Mother-Baby Information section. This is where OBIS information is imported. Select this section to review the information. To sign this form, click the green checkmark at the top left of the screen. Once this is done, the OBIS data will now appear in the Transition of Care documentation. If you have completed all of your discharge work, including the discharge order, you can click on the Discharge Order section to fill in the blue bubble. Then click the Save button to close the discharge instructions. When the patient is ready to be discharged, this information will be printed and given to the patient's family. As a review, use the NICU Discharge IMPage to review and complete the discharge process. Discharge medication reconciliation must be completed for each medication. Follow-up appointments can be completed by a unit clerk if you place the NICU-only schedule appointment order. And in the Depart screen, you can import OBIS information into the Transition of Care documentation by clicking on and completing the NICU Provider Summary section.